Well, and I hope everybody's having a great weekend. I know I am, although it did kind of start out as a slight disaster, I thought. I've gotten the props all together, but I had a reception problem, which was just horrible. The spy gears had always gotten a bad rap for how crappy the range was on them, but when I buttoned these guys up, running the antenna in the back here, boy, I couldn't even get a couple of inches before the screen would lock up. Fortunately, using these modified spy gear walkie-talkies, I was able to check each one and see how bad, and I did notice that one worked best. So, keeping my fingers crossed, I took the gamble that it was nothing more than the antenna placement, the fact that I was running it across this horrendous clock generator. You know, when you deal with anything digital, you have to have a clock. Something's got to tell your ones and zeros when to flip. So in very simple terms, if you don't have a clock, you don't have a functioning product. So this running right across it was stepping on the transmission, and also I'm sure the wiring here for the battery pack and charger didn't help any. So what I found was by rerouting this up to the front, my range improved substantially. Still not great because, well, the antenna is buried, and in this type of situation, this really wants to be up and out and in clear line of sight. The higher in frequency you go, the more obstacles create a problem. That's why you see these cell towers, they're all over the place, because at 2.4 and 5.6 gigahertz, anything becomes a problem, which this was the case here. So what I wanted to kind of do was, this was going to be or is going to be build number 17. I'm going to be doing two right after each other, one that focused on the battery pack, and the other one, this one, showing the integration of the battery. But first, we're going to reroute this antenna. So very carefully, I get in here with my orange stick. For those in the electronic industry, you know what an orange stick is. It's, I'm not really sure what it's made out of. It could be made out of orange wood, but it's a non-conductive poker that you use as a soldering aid or as a holder or things like that. Come in both plastic and wood. So anyways, what I'm going to do here is going to hold the antenna cable to keep it from fluxing too much from where it's soldered on the transmitter, and then feed it forward, and then get underneath it like so, and compress it. The cable has enough memory, it just has to hold that position long enough for me to get my little plastic barrier in here, like so, and then my power cable tucked in under like that, the lip underneath like this, down the prop goes. And one of the things that I dislike about resin, and not a fault of AJ, because these have been phenomenal. I mean, the detail, the crispness, everything about it's just perfect, except for the fact that resin seems to like to warp. So here was kind of a problem with the end piece, because there's, I'll pause here and I'll go get it, the decorative end that comes on this. When the unit's stored, what I did is made up these little plugs which just open up the connection, taking the battery out of the circuit so that you're not bleeding the current when you're just in storage, you know, when it's just not being used. Lithium batteries are such that you really want to treat them with a lot of respect. So anyways, here we go. Let's get this ring on here. Just kind of get over there. You go. This worked out surprisingly good, because see, now you take the back end of the prop off to gain access for recharging and in a second here I'll also show the charging function of this. But we're going to pair these, but let me pause the video and I'll go get the other things that I needed. Alright, so getting back to where I was, when you take this off and you're actually going to use the prop, see, this is on and holding the prop together, but what do you do when you have to take it apart like that to either store it or, in this case here, charge it, which what I've got here is a little charger, and it'll charge both props simultaneously. It's a slow charge, but being a sealed up prop like this, I want to keep heat generation to a minimum, so that's why I did what I did there as far as lost my train of thought there. Charging the props up simultaneously. So here we go. Let's pair these guys up. Let's bring them around here. Here we go. Turn them on. As soon as we're done here, there we go. Alright, we'll pair them, and there we go. The PIP is up in that corner for each one. I'm not sure how good these have. I wish these were IPS displays, but they're not. They're your standard low-cost LCDs, so viewing angle is really kind of limited. But you know, the props now have a range which they didn't have before, which is quite thankful. I thought I had a train wreck here. Now, the one thing that we do have to be considerate of is the antenna is now up here and buried, so when you have your hand on the prop, it also affects it. So, but hey, you know, I don't know if there's any more of these running around out there, but if somebody could have done a more efficient job without the antenna sticking out, please give me a holler. Now, I'm concerned here, this I think is just simply, I now have a new light, which is LED, and I think its frequency, switching frequency, is what's stepping on the display. So I don't know if now, let's get to a screen here that's a little bit more substantial. You have to tell me if, here, let's get around here. Well, that could have been it. But here we go. Let's move around. I'll have to look at the video, but I think that is, there we go, with the light out. Does that look okay? Because I'm not looking at the monitor, so I don't know. So we'll have to see if, let's get around. Ah, there we go. Let's do this one here. Is that, I'm sure what it's doing is showing its switching frequency, which competes with this. So without a script, boy, these videos do become a jumble of just nonsense. So good deal. Okay, getting back to the original conversation, what I'm going to do next, obviously, is going to be all of the, oops, let's turn you off. There you go. Oops. There we go. See, the problem, there we go. The problem with having capacitive touch switches, they're very sensitive to touch, and you wouldn't be able to hold the prop if I didn't put in a button that could turn on and off the audio. So this front button is audio. The next button is the push to talk. There we go. This is part of these audio. This is your menu button. This is up and down or forward and backwards in your options, because you can go between, they're switching the image around to where now the camera is built in, which is on the screen. And then you can do your stealth mode. Normally they're not sitting on top of each other. So, but it's also your up and down volume. So that's what those are, and that's the power button. What I'll be doing in the next video is all of the fluff. You know, adding the cover that goes on here, which I had to take some creative license on, but I think I did an okay job on that. I'm going to have these covers on for the speakers. There's going to be blackout trim top and bottom before I put on the bezel, because I don't want that light shining through. So I'll be putting some little black strips of plastic there. I'm going to paint black the boundaries so it just looks more finished when that goes on. This video is just to show the props are together and, you know, working as hoped, planned, and prayed for, and I can't be happier. Now, again, before anybody asks, I've only made 3 pairs of these. The first one was the learning prop, so it's got some things that I need to clean up on it, and then the 2 what I consider nice ones. One is for me, 1 pair is for me, and 1 pair is for my good friend R. Warren, who was kind enough to do all the software that just added the icing to the cake. He's not getting them free. He's going to have to pay for all the material to a certain degree, but my electronic engineering and his software both will null each other out, so we're just paying for essentially the hard things. Next video will be all the fluff, and then I can finish this off and consider it project complete, and then I can move on to other things. So hope you all have a great weekend. Sorry about the rambling video, but when you don't do a script, they tend to ramble. So hope you stick with it. I'll see you all later, and have a great weekend. Bye.